welcome into another edition of Connor's Takes. Here we are. The time of recording, it's late Friday night, but time this comes out, it's going to be one full day to the start of the Super Bowl out in Las Vegas. So we're basically one full day away from time of this when this comes out to the Super Bowl, which we'll touch on later. We'll have a few topics about the Super Bowl preview, just a little bit of it. Obviously in the hot take department because that would be fun. We have a few topics before uh the Super Bowl. Then we'll touch on the award show that happened on Thursday night. One big snub on in the award show. We're not. I mean, there was no Goodell magic show here for this one. But we do want to. I before we do get into the Connor takes, I do want to plug our openings. We do have voluntary openings for the show. If you're interested in any sort of content creation, I mean, creating graphics. Creating graphics, opening your phone on TikTok and just recording a quick hot take TikTok based off whatever's going on in the NFL, college, and college, UFL, whatever hot take you feel that you can grab the audience attention will be open for you. Social media marketing. Marketing our social media. Four of us plus a few others can't manage four social medias all at once. So if you're good at social media marketing, hit us up. Social media writers. I don't have I'm going to be strictly honest with you. I don't have the greatest grammar. And so guess what? We need people to write some of our posts just because some of us, we do all have jobs. So there's news out there. You got to be the first one. We'll hit you up and you say, hey, can you write something for us? And we'll give you the graphic, tell us who it's about, and you write it for us. Simple openings, great openings. Because one goal that we had in mind last year when we first started this show was we were planning to be in Vegas, big enough to be in Vegas this year. Well, obviously that didn't happen. I mean, the Super Bowl is a couple days away. I'm still in my house. Next year, let's plan on getting to New Orleans. Let's get this show big enough where we can get to New Orleans. Maybe not Radio Row, where we're just standing there with NFL Network, but big enough where we can maybe host, a show in the parking lot at New Orleans. I don't know, something like that. But big enough. Join us. Cannot wait to see where this show goes further. So I'll give another plug to this at the end. If you're interested, email the Undercovers. Email undercoverspodcastfb@gmail.com. One of us will answer that. You can DM one of the hosts. That's perfectly fine. Our ads are right there on the screen. DM one of us, or you can just DM the podcast itself if you have an opening. Basically, we're just going to ask basic experience. Show us a few of your old stuff that you've worked on before, and we'll say if you're the one, you're the one. You're most likely we're adding you, but we want to make sure you have some sort of experience. But you want to give a quick plug before we start? If you want, you don't have
I
to,
was
Tony.
all I was going to say is if you did want to reach out to any of the hosts, I usually reply back immediately because
Sam.
my notifications are always on. Message me, message the podcast. We'll get you in. Trust me, we
Oh,
need
we
somebody
definitely
to
will.
help me. We need somebody to help me manage writing the posts. I can't write them all. Paul can't write them all. Jenna can't write them all. None of us can.
Yeah, definitely. I don't. I use I use Pro Writing Aid for my grammar. I have to work on my English. That's
Don't
okay.
we all though? Even Jenna and I might be the two writers, but still got a lot to learn, you know.
Oh yeah, the English language is hard.
Yeah, and we hate it.
All right, let's get into our first topic, which is, it was kind of with the Super Bowl, this week is kind of like hidden news. No one's talking about it because it's hidden, or people just don't think it could be a real possibility because this player's 31 years of age. and he's been out of the league for the last 2 seasons, and his really only biggest production year was back when he was with the Jets, with the Jets when they were still the Jets, and they always will still be the Jets until they can unjet themselves. But
Haha.
Le'Veon Bell is thinking of making a return to the NFL. Should Bell return to the NFL at 31 years of age and with no experience over the last 2 seasons?
Well, Paul, what's interesting is he what, 30, what was it? How many years old?
He's 31.
Yeah, he's 31. I think Raheem Mostert is actually older than that. And look at what Raheem Mostert was able to do in the league. I feel like if
But this
there's
is 2 years without actually being in the
oh,
NFL.
well, yeah, I mean, he'd have to condition. He'd have to make sure that he could actually still play the game of football. But I will say one other thing. His best years were with Pittsburgh. His um I think it was all over his Instagram stories. This is where he was talking about coming back to the NFL and he wanted to come back to Pittsburgh. I can
Mhm.
tell you right now that that's just the funniest thing in the world. They drafted Najee Harris to basically replace Le'Veon Bell because James Conner was not going to be able to stay in Pittsburgh, even though he had that really good season in 2018, filling in for Le'Veon Bell. But the dynamic is just funny to me. Now all of a sudden he wants to get conditioned. He wants to now come back and he wants to play for the team that he basically said, "No, you're not paying me enough. I'm sitting on a full season." Like, okay, it's kind of rich. I feel like Le'Veon coming back would be an interesting spectacle because I don't know if Pittsburgh would be able to just plug and play him. I feel like there's teams out there that might be able to plug and play him a little more. I mean, hey, why not? It comes down to late enough in the season. Why don't we just wait and give him a call if we need to? Kind of like we did with Leonard Fournette. If he still thinks
True.
he can play, why not? But if he wants to come back to the NFL and he wants to come back to Pittsburgh, the irony isn't lost. He was that driving force of those teams in 2016 and 2017. That 2016 team, sure, D'Angelo Williams did a lot too, but that was because Le'Veon Bell got injured. But Le'Veon Bell was killing it up until the injury. There's a good chance that maybe Le'Veon still has something left in the tank. He would just have to actually, prove that he wants to play. I mean, talking on Instagram is one thing. Actually get onto the field and prove it. Let's see what you can do, Le'Veon. And if it is with Pittsburgh, time is a flat circle, Paul. Time is a flat circle. Maybe then their offense will actually be good enough to carry that defense too sometimes. Because the defense is what's doing all the carrying right now.
Mhm.
That's why they couldn't beat us in the wild card round. That defense couldn't do it all, especially not without their best player and arguably snubbed defensive player of the year, TJ Watt. But we'll talk about snubs later.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of the snubs later. I mean, to your point of flat circles, I mean, Chiefs, 49ers. I mean,
I know.
I'm being serious. The 49ers better win this year, or there's like a every 4-year curse. I mean,
Oh,
it just feels like that. I don't
hmm
know. It just gives this like the Super Bowl. Like, you watching the Super Bowl because of the parties, you're with family, you're watching the Super Bowl because of the halftime show, but it's the same Super Bowl that was 4 years ago.
hmm
You look at it all, like, it all matches up with, like, all the other stuff that happened 4 years ago. Just it gives you the at the end of the Super Bowl when it's if the Chiefs win, you're gonna feel like, "Okay," you're happy, but then it gives you that weird feelings like, "What is March going to bring?"
I don't want to think about it, and I don't want to think
Same.
about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl either. I
Same.
do not. None of us do here at Bill's Mafia, believe me.
No, or anyone that's not in the area of the Midwest that cheers for the Chiefs. I mean, those be cheering for the Chiefs, but anyone outside of that would be no, like,
And
let's
then
not
that
start the New England annoying dynasty again. Unless you're a Bills fan, then for sure start a dynasty because we need one.
Yeah, if it's Josh Allen's dynasty, we
Yeah,
could certainly
Josh Allen.
use that.
Oh, we certainly do. All right, you got. We're going to add a new segment to the show, to something new that we're thought. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not weekly, but maybe it's once in a while, where we'll go through Twitter. Well, Connor will go through Twitter, primarily one Twitter side. We're going to go
Haha,
through. We'll find some. He would find some tweets, maybe 3 to 5 tweets a week, and we're just going to roast them. I don't know if he has any good one-liners yet, but we'll figure it out. I mean, are we sharing the screen or are we
as soon as
uh,
I could get to the other one, I posted a lot of them, but the one in particular that I'm thinking of, just to kinda get everybody going, is the
hmm,
fact that Dolphins fans are still on the Justin Fields hype train,
oh
but
my.
not too long ago, I saw another one, and this one is genuinely kind of funny because they were thinking, like every one of them are right now, that Tua is not him, that he needs to be excommunicated from Miami because they can't win games in which the defense is injured completely to pieces like ours. But I saw this. For those of you actually watching the episode when it premieres on YouTube, you will get to see this. For those of you listening, I will go ahead and narrate it as well. The minute I can get this pulled up here. Take a look at this. Take a look at this right here. They are really, really out here talking about trading for Sam Howell, and not only trading for Sam Howell, but trading away Jalen Waddle to take away what would be a very effective weapon for Sam Howell. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, and the number 55 pick in this tweet would be going to the Dolphins to get Sam Howell. Are we serious right now? Are they actually serious? Has the Florida sun melted their brains? Everybody wants to call Josh Allen a turnover machine, right? Listen, Sam Howell led the league in turnovers last season. Why do you think replacing a guy that maybe can't elevate his team with the real turnover machine? What good do you think that's gonna do? What good does anybody think that's gonna do? I mean, there's some funny replies to the tweet as well. Sam Howell's nowhere near as good as Tua. Duh, that would be a heist. I can't, bro. Who posted this? No, I can't either. Like I can't.
I,
Just some of these are so bad. This one's the worst that I've seen, and that's with them clamoring for Justin Fields.
it's, it's I- you're going from Tua. I mean, who's a great quarterback in itself. I mean, he's definitely not in the class with some of the other elites. But I mean, he's a franchise builder. I mean, he doesn't give you the same attributes. But if you're going from Tua to Sam Howell, that is a complete that's literally jumping off a cliff or something like that. You're going way too far with something
Mhm.
like that. Like, look, you have the franchise quarterback right now. Maybe he's not it. Then if he's not it, well then you trade you trade that, you trade whoever that's not it, which is the quarterback. If that's the issue in Miami, you trade the quarterback either for for some higher picks, because I don't think the Dolphins have a first round pick. So
No, they do.
if you want to change your direction at quarterback, you try to get in the top 5 and you start with the rookie quarterback, or trade him
Mhm.
away for a veteran quarterback that's at least seasoned enough to work with
Hey, I
what
hear
what you've
Kirk
got. But
Cousins
I
is
don't think
available.
He's
I
available.
mean I mean, if
I
they
mean,
wanna go that route, then why not get Kirk Cousins?
fine.
Be be
I
just
mean,
like
if
Ryan
that's
Tannehill
if
all
they
over
really
again over there.
think. I mean, if they really think he's the problem. I mean, we got another one.
Oh, yeah, I've got a better one too. Sure, they were talking about, trading for a guy like Sam Howell, they're talking about Justin Fields, they were talking about all different kinds of quarterbacks, but I think an interesting one is, as Bills fans, we all felt bad when Matt Milano went down. We
Yeah.
realistically think, well, I thought that Matt Milano was having a great season. You know, maybe next season he could win comeback player of the year and defensive player of the year. But
Let's
I came
go.
across this the other day, and I just have to share this one as well. So as soon as this one pops up, if Bradley Chubb didn't get hurt, he would have won defensive player of the year. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop anybody else watching right there. Bradley Chubb did not do well enough on the level that a defensive player of the year would be on before he got injured. Was he good? Yes. Dare I say great? Yes. But putting Bradley Chubb in a category with Miles Garrett and TJ Watt, are we kidding ourselves right now? Even if he didn't get hurt, your team was still down by 30 to the Ravens, and he was still playing in the last 3 minutes of the game. Not only
Mhm.
malpractice, but at the end of the day, this is just absolute. I don't know. There's not really any other word I could use to think of other than just why. I mean, Bradley Chubb is a great player, but Bradley Chubb was not going to win Defensive Player of the Year this year, even if he didn't get hurt. I mean,
Mhm.
if we're in this area here, then Matt Milano could have won Defensive Player of the Year if he didn't get hurt. Let's be real with ourselves if we're going to make these kinds of comparisons. But at the end of the day, Bradley Chubb is good. Bradley Chubb will come back stronger than ever, but Bradley Chubb is not going to be that defensive player of the year when you got guys like Miles Garrett, TJ Watt, and Teron Johnson. When he breaks out, just wait for that. I mean, he's all pro quarterback. He ought to have a season like that soon enough, too. And by the way, we
Mhm.
talked about it earlier. We wanted to be in New Orleans. Step one, let's get Teron Johnson on the show. I would love to just sit
Oh
down
yeah.
and be like, King, I'm not wearing his jersey right now, but I have your jersey, King. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's still crazy to think that Dolphins fans were actually out there thinking Bradley Chubb could win Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
And oh, by the way, the guy right here, the guy whose hand is partially obscured, yeah, welcome to the Bills, Andrew Van Ginkel. I am manifesting it. Welcome to the Bills. All right,
Go
Paul,
for it.
you.
Manifest it as much as you want. I mean, I'm not. If you want my full opinion, and I'm not 100% full on driving on the board of Van Ginkel because I think we have the players at linebacker that are,
Oh, we do,
if you
but
stay
depth is
we
nice.
stay healthy there. I mean, I think we still have one of the best linebacker groups of all out of all any of the teams. I mean, we still have Bobby Babbage. So I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to add more depth, I mean, add a veteran guy, or just
I mean,
draft one in the draft. I mean,
that is
doesn't.
a veteran guy though. Andrew Van Ginkel made a lot of good plays, and to be
But he's a
fair,
starter on any team.
oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, he was behind. Uh, I don't know if no, he was on the field. Never mind. He was on the field with. He was on the field with Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. So yeah, he probably would be a starter most places. But the idea of him with Milano and Bernard would just be elite,
That would be
absolutely
great.
elite. And maybe
You
in
got
this
another?
case, Andrew Van Ginkel would have a good shot to win Defensive Player of the Year if he was in our uniform. But I do have one last one for you here, Paul, and for everybody watching. This is kind of
Alright, make the
circling.
best one.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. I'm circling back to what we were talking about earlier when it came to trading for quarterbacks. I'm not exactly a fan of Justin Fields, but I can't imagine a scenario in which he doesn't ball out with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devon Achane. All of that speed at the skill positions, plus you get an athletic, mobile quarterback. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it could work. You know what I am reminded of whenever I think of Justin Fields? I want you to go back to a very specific play. I think it was against the Buccaneers last year.
Mhm,
Justin Fields takes the snap,
mhm,
drops back in the pocket, is ready to pass. His options are gone. So he decides, I'm going to try to run forward. He ran
right.
forward into the rear of his own lineman and it was registered as a sack. Like,
Yeah,
all that ability to run, and I'll be honest, the only reason why they're all talking about Justin Fields like they are right now is because they watched Josh Allen pull off that run against the
mhm,
Steelers in the wild card round. That was when it started. And I swear to you, that's the only reason they want a quarterback that can run is because they're like, "Hey, Josh Allen can do it. Like, we need a quarterback like Josh Allen." But Justin Fields is no Josh Allen and is never going to
yeah.
be a Josh Allen. The fact that they're just crazy over a quarterback like Fields is mind-boggling. Justin Fields, Sam Howell now all of a sudden. All right. The Floridian sun is melting their brains right now. I know, Paul, you probably got another thought on Justin Fields in
Mhm.
Miami. You want to share that
Okay,
one too to go
I'm
with this one?
I am the biggest. I mean, I would think I'm probably the biggest Justin Fields supporter, probably all out of all of the four hosts here. Miami wouldn't work for Justin Fields. I think would honestly destroy Justin Fields. I don't think it works for Justin Fields. Could it work? Maybe, but I don't think Justin Fields is the quarterback that would fit in the Mike McDaniel's system. It feels like it's a little too complex for Justin Fields. Not saying that Justin Fields can't run a complex offense. I feel that Justin Fields needs a new home so we can kind of like a Trevor Lawrence restart. He just needs a Trevor
Mhm.
Lawrence restart. I mean, obviously, this was his third season, so he would be in his fourth year. But I think he just needs a Trevor Lawrence restart. I don't think Miami would be it. I think would be a dumb decision, anyways. I really feel like the criticism in Tua, it's just absurd in a way.
Yeah.
It's dumb. I mean, you don't have to sign him to a 5-year, $45 million contract. You don't. You could sign him to a 5-year, $30 million contract, whatever. You don't have to bend over and just give him the biggest contract because that's what the norm of the NFL says now that you have to do. I think
Mhm.
it's a bit of an overreaction, kinda like me during Bills game days.
Haha. Yeah, Mister, I want to fire McDermott after every bad loss. Yeah, we're listening to you, Paul.
Yeah,
All right.
that would yeah.
Yeah, we know. We know. All right. We grill you all the time for it.
Criticism was needed.
Criticism
I'll
is always needed.
leave it as that. It was
Yes.
criticism, critical
Yes.
criticism. Right.
Yeah,
It's
we will
it's
indeed.
needed. Needed for stress relief, I guess, in some way.
Mhm.
Uh, Speaking of stress relief, both 49ers and Chiefs fans will need it this weekend. While they're taking shots of Fireball and just throwing chicken fingers and pizza in their mouth while cheering and giving the person that they're sitting next to a beer shower because they're too overly excited because their team scored and they think they win. They have officially won the game after the first touchdown has scored because they had too many beers. So, with that being said, we head into our Super Bowl preview. We got two topics for the Super Bowl, including side note, there was some injury designations released for the Super Bowl. Joe offensive lineman Joe Toney will be out for the Chiefs this weekend.
Oh, you nearly said it.
And the Super Bowl, did I say it wrong?
No, you almost said Bills, and I just had to laugh.
Oh,
Don't make me think
I
of it,
didn't
Paul.
say it.
You
I
didn't, but I
said
almost
Chiefs.
heard you start. Yes, you did.
I said Chiefs. He'd be out. That would be interesting how they're going to stop almost every defensive lineman on the 49ers, but let's get into some of the hot takes here. Let's start with the coaching matchup here, especially one coach, because one coach was last before the 4 years ago, before the it was the 28-3, sorry, Atlanta fans. When they had that lead, he was the offensive coordinator. They blew the game. He wasn't the coach, but now he's the coach of his second Super Bowl against the team that he faced 4 years ago. So let's backtrack to 28-3. Does
Oh,
Shanahan blow another 28-3 lead? Because I have the vibes that this could actually happen this weekend.
oh man, that's interesting. If you want my honest opinion, you just gotta pray at that point that the 49ers don't jump out to a large lead. If you remember, actually, Paul, I think they had a 10-point lead against the Chiefs the last time they played in the Super Bowl against each other going into toward the end of the game. Mahomes brought them back. Shanahan blew a double-digit lead in the Super Bowl there too. I mean, sure, 10
Oh,
isn't
man.
25, but yeah, Shanahan seems to have a history of blowing leads when it matters most. So I I just feel like this time it's gonna be different. I feel like
Oh, yeah.
if Shanahan
Just really
has to
quick.
oh,
The Chiefs scored 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to win the game 31-20. Sorry,
mhm.
just back to your point.
Oh,
Just
no, no, no.
if you
See,
want.
you actually just proved my point. Like, that is an incredible thing because Shanahan has this bad tendency to blow leads when it matters most. I just don't see how this team manages to do that this time. I feel like if they have to play, a little from behind, they're not going to have to worry so much about constantly getting the ball out of Brock Purdy's hands and getting it into the hands of like Brandon Ayuk or Debo Samuel because they still got Christian McCaffrey. So you still have the best running back in the league who could just run up and down the field all day long. Sure, you'll have to play it smart, clock management wise, but at the end of the day, I still feel like you are going to be able to have a much more solid offensive game plan with Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. So that way you could take a lot of the load off of Brock Purdy's shoulders. So where he's not having to throw deep bombs to Ayuk, Samuel, and George Kittle all game long. So I feel like maybe as long as they can keep it close, just don't get out to a huge lead, get complacent. I think they can pull it off to where they don't blow another lead this time. But Andy Reid on the other side, coaching genius, absolute genius. He always has been. Everybody was like, "Oh, Andy Reid ain't that good of a coach." Full Reid always takes effect when he gets into these big games and he chokes. Not really. I mean, the teams around him just kind of crumbled in those situations. He never I mean, once Mahomes came in and revitalized that whole franchise, there you go. I mean, it is what it is now. Andy Reid's proven he's a great coach, but Kyle Shanahan, I think, is going to get the number on him this time. We did have a Chiefs take. It wasn't about coaches, though. It's about one of
Oh,
our
yeah, we
favorite
definitely
people.
had a Chiefs take. I just did the simple math because I was trying to think of the score of that game before the Kyle Shanahan blowing. It was close to 28-3. It was 21-10. So it's
Hmm.
quite similar. It was an 11-point lead. 21 unanswered gives the Chiefs a 31-20 victory back in the Super Bowl 4 years ago when these two teams faced. 4 years ago, I believe when it was 21-10, I think that was the score when one crucial drop happened when I think that
Oh.
was the Debo Samuel drop. That would have probably put the game away and the 49ers would be dancing in Miami. But there was one guy in the Chiefs that doesn't know how to catch, but he knows really good how to drop a football. He's pretty good at it. He's pretty good at it too. I mean, if there was an award for most valuable drop of the year, Kadarius Toney would have won it last night. And
Oh,
maybe
man.
that was one of the that was an award from NFL memes last night, but it definitely should have been. Uh, but the Chiefs' take here is: will Tony cost the Chiefs like Debo did for San Francisco 4 years ago?
It's Kadarius Toney. I feel like the answer is automatically yes. Let's also be completely honest. Even if he doesn't drop a crucial game-winning pass by Mahomes at the end of the game, you know what he's gonna do? He's gonna do his next best thing, and he's gonna line up off sides on a perfect play that gives the Chiefs the lead with a minute left in the Super Bowl, and then the flag goes in the air. It's gonna happen like clockwork. We all know it. If he's not dropping balls, he's lining up off sides, and that's why we here, especially in Bills Mafia, love Kadarius Toney. Keep being you, my guy, because I know you're gonna do it again when it matters most. And that's gonna make me laugh so hard if it happens again in the Super Bowl, especially if there's a lot on the line, like the final 2 minutes, and you're down by
The
three.
the official for this Super Bowl is Bill Vinovich. Uh, the one note I watched a video, it was a short video that his crew likes to call a lot of offsides, and it really goes against the home team. So the home team in this Super Bowl is the Chiefs. So maybe that's right up that alley of offsides. And I believe did Vinovich officiate the Bills Chiefs game? I don't know. No, I don't think he did. Trying to remember. I
Yeah,
don't think he did.
I don't believe he did that time either, but either way,
No, that was Sean Hockley.
oh
There we go.
god,
I think that was Sean Hockley. All right,
that's a name I
let's
didn't
go
wanna
to.
hear again.
Okay, Ed Hockley was great. Sean is a little isn't at his level yet. Like if you want
No,
to compare the two, Ed Hockley was amazing.
the apple
I
falls
mean,
very far from the tree in this case.
yeah, Ed Hockley was awesome. I mean, he's probably in in a court building somewhere as a lawyer, but he was awesome. Like I mean, his random fun calls to a football game makes the average fan want to watch a referee make a call for a flag. But who cares about flags at this moment? Let's go to the award show for our final topic tonight
Ugh.
as we quickly end up the show because there was one Bills player in particular that was snubbed. I mean, like, this wasn't a small snub. This was going from maybe first place to all the way down to fifth place in voting. Like, this snub was huge, and it was for MVP.
Ugh.
Before before you get going, I want to say this. How in the world does Josh Allen get one MVP vote and not finish second? Like, he finishes 5th, and I believe Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and somebody else, I don't know who the 3rd one was, finished before Josh Allen in MVP voting, and they all had 0 first place votes. Josh Allen had 1. That should guarantee him at least 2nd, but he got. Now let's go to the winner. Lamar Jackson, who had a great season, by the way. Credit to his season, but not as the season as Josh Allen had, almost first or second or third in almost every category. This list a stat, and he's probably top 5 in a category. But total touchdowns and total yards, Josh Allen was I believe, top 3 in each of those categories. The MVP is a regular season award. Josh Allen had the best regular season out of all the quarterbacks that were listed. And don't get me started, well, he had too many turnovers.
Ugh.
Too many turnovers don't matter in this case because the all just look at Josh Allen and Lamar really quick at how they play. Lamar has a plays with a more conservative mindset. Allen plays with a more aggressive mindset, and the playbooks from both offensive coordinators show that. So, Connor, I'm going to pose this question to you and let you rant for a second or two.
Oh boy.
Was this the biggest MVP snub of all time?
Yes. Not even an ounce of hesitation. Yes. I don't know why we're having to debate this. I don't know why this was even anybody's thought process in the beginning. It feels to me like the MVP award is definitely narrative driven. Lamar
Mhm,
Jackson practically won MVP in 2 games. His defense, by the way, I can't stress that enough. Lamar might be a great player, but his defense is the best defense in the entire National Football League. Carried him to beat the 49ers, and then they shut down arguably the hottest offense and top scoring offense in the Miami Dolphins in 2 weeks. It seems to me like in those 2 games, that was what kind of cemented Lamar Jackson's MVP,
mhm,
despite the fact that Josh Allen, just coming back from the literal brink, playing lights out football, almost 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He was balling, and yet the national narrative is all on
mhm.
Lamar Jackson this, Lamar
Right.
Jackson that. My team is literally so good. Okay. Okay. Stop. Absolutely stop. Lamar Jackson is good. His
Mhm,
defense is great. His
right.
skill position players are great.
Mhm.
You take Lamar Jackson off
Yep.
of the Ravens, like so many people thought might have happened, early last offseason.
Right.
And this Ravens team is not the number 1 seed, but they still make the playoffs. It's
Bingo.
not like Huntley is not that good. Huntley, yeah, for all what it's worth. Pro Bowl quarterback, I don't know, doesn't mean that much anymore considering everybody
Insert
drops
any
out.
quarterback, they still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I just meant because Snoop is literally the one on
Right.
behind him on the depth chart. You take Josh Allen out of the Bills, you make Kyle Allen start all these games, this Bills team is not making the playoffs. And as a matter of fact, they'd probably be in great position right now to draft somebody like Brock Bowers, somebody
Mhm.
like Malik Neighbors, Romeo Dunze, might maybe even all the way up to Marvin Harrison Jr. This team would be that bad without Josh Allen. I mean, what do people see in Lamar Jackson's regular season performances at the end and look and see Josh Allen's performance toward the end of the season, especially after the Eagles game? He wasn't even that bad in the Eagles game. Josh Allen played a great game. It just didn't work out in the end. In most of those losses, Josh Allen gave the Bills the lead with 4 minutes or less remaining in the game, and the defense could not hold.
Right.
How is that Josh Allen's fault? That's not Josh Allen's fault. Yet the media would have you believe that it's Josh Allen's fault. Why? Why? I hear all this about, oh, it's because the MVP has to come from the number 1 seed. You know what I think? If Josh Allen and the Bills were able to get the 1 seed, they'd find a way to move the goalposts again. I
Oh,
promise.
yeah.
The fact that he finished 5th in MVP voting based off this weird NFL math metric or whatever is just mind-boggling, and you know for a fact they'd use it again, just like they used it with Damar Hamlin last night too, and don't even get me started on that one gets my blood boiling even worse than Josh Allen being snubbed. I guess what we learned last night is coming back from the Jets is more courageous and more is and harder to do than coming back from death itself.
Yep.
So Zach Wilson, wherever you wind up, wherever you go, I hope you get a great comeback player of the year next year because apparently that means more than dying on the field. And
Yeah.
don't give me all of this, "Oh, DeMar Hamlin barely played any snaps. DeMar Hamlin was a 3rd stringer that would have been cut." Alex Smith in 2020 won comeback player of the year as a backup for the Washington Commanders. He was a backup. As a matter of fact, I think he was a 3rd string quarterback too, and he played less total
That
snaps.
was the year I believe he came back.
Yeah, from the leg injury, like that really bad leg
Yeah,
injury.
the leg injury.
Yeah, that was the year he
Mhm.
came back from that, won comeback player of the year, and played less snaps than DeMar Hamlin did this year. I want you to think about that for a minute. Alex Smith played less snaps than DeMar Hamlin did this year, but Alex Smith won comeback player of the year. If we're gonna go by that metric, then give Ben Roethlisberger the comeback player of the year that he deserved in 2020 because apparently he got robbed too. So, I mean, what do we have to do? What do we actually have to do to show up on this stage, to have a Bills player show up on this stage? I'll tell you what I think. Forget it. Just win the games. Be there. Be in the Super Bowl and all this goes away. Who cares about thinking about the NFL honors, MVP, defensive player of the year, anything like that? When you're actively sitting there like the Chiefs and 49ers are right now waiting on the Super Bowl. That's the cure to this. Winning is the cure to all of this. All we got to do is just get there. And with a healthy defense and Josh Allen playing like the MVP we know he is, we'll get there.
Yeah, that's that was great. Kudos to you. I mean, that was that was awesome. I'm just gonna just the thinking about one thing that's really been on my mind is you brought up narrative driven. I feel like most of these awards are narrative driven. I think I don't know if this has any to do with it, but this might be just total, just me, just overall speculating market size. Like Josh Allen plays in Buffalo. It's not a huge market. They can't market the MVP with Josh Allen because he plays for the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo is not a huge market. I mean, the player is great. He's fantastic. We can market, Josh Allen, but he plays. We're going to hurt his chances of winning because he plays for this team. Baltimore, it's Lamar Jackson. Baltimore is a pretty sizable market. They can get things done in Baltimore. Why? Let's market Lamar Jackson because he plays for the Baltimore Ravens. He's the guy that we can make the face of the NFL along with some of the other bigger players that play for bigger market teams. I could be totally speculating here, but I feel that inside these writers' minds, inside these media personnel minds that are thinking about when they're voting, feel like it's a small, it might not be big, but a small percentage might be, how do we market this? Make it a marketing technique based off market size. It
Hmm.
could be completely throwing something out there that's completely, I wouldn't say false, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like that's maybe in some way on the minds of these voters.
Haley Steinfeld, it's all on you. That's all I'm gonna
I
say
mean,
about that. We already saw what it can do with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey. Josh Allen and
true.
Haley Steinfeld just show her frequently in that press box. Bang. We got it. We got our marketing
Bang.
right there, Paul. How
Do
could
it.
you
Let's
not
go.
love a good story like that?
It'd be great. Why not? I mean, market that. That would be great. I mean, but I think having Josh and Haley Steinfeld, in their own way, somewhat private, makes it better for them. To be honest with him. But I
Mhm.
mean, that's a topic for entertainment tonight to talk about, not for Connor's
Yeah,
takes.
for real. This isn't my specialty of takes. I'm just saying, we need marketing. There you go. We got marketing.
Here you go. All right, one small this we did not rehearse this or talk about this, but it just came in mind because of the Super Bowls this weekend. Food. What are you thinking? What do you think is the best, Super Bowl dinner or treat
Let's
to
see.
serve on Sunday?
Bacardi, first of all.
Okay.
Uh, let's see. Well, it really, I feel like it depends on where you're at geographically. I know a lot of people
Okay.
down here in Florida, they'll probably be having their seafood dinners. They'll probably get some pizza with some kind of shrimp on it. Uh,
Shrimp on pizza. That's an
you'd be
off-season
surprised.
topic, but
It is. You'd be
no.
surprised. But anyway, I mean, steak. Obviously, they'll be.
Oh, steak is great.
Yeah, but I feel like, especially if it's one of those kinds of Super Bowls, the loser is going to be down in a lot of alcohol. And I already said Bacardi, so the
Be
ones down here,
responsible this weekend, people.
yes, please drink responsibly for the love of God. Don't be like me and drink a lot. Don't be like my sibling and drink next to nothing and still get absolutely glazed. So drink responsibly, people.
Drink responsibly. That concludes the show for Connor's Takes, another great edition of Connor's Takes. And remember, we do have voluntary positions open. Like I said in the beginning, you can watch the 3-minute monologue I gave on position openings. I mean, really just content creating. If you're interested in content creating, hit us up anywhere. One of the four hosts will try to get to you. I mean, most of us will get to you immediately because we don't need our phones blowing up with notifications. Email us. Probably within 24 hours, we'll read it. I mean, I don't know how good we are at reading emails, but, if you wanna email us, that's the preferred way. We'll get to you. Uh, DM my pen just fell. DM the, Undercover's, podcast Twitter. Fine, we'll get to you. We'll just basically say, "Hey, what's your name?" If you don't have your name on your profile, we're not gonna deeply investigate you, I promise you. Just show us some work. Show us that you have some sort of experience. If it's great experience, awesome. Uh, we just had one guy reach to us out just a couple days ago for graphics. Some of his graphics were awesome, and he joined us right on the spot within, I want to say, within a day. So if you
Mhm,
have something good, some great talent that you want to use to grow yourself and market yourself a bit, join us. We'll happy to help you do that and help this uh, podcast grow in numbers.
mhm.
Because again, next year we want to be in New Orleans, maybe in some sort of capacity, even if it's a live bar show in New Orleans doing Mardi
Teron
Gras.
Johnson, if you're watching, come on the show, man.
Come on, Tyron. Oh my God, I'm trying not to butcher his name because I'm not good at English. Tyron Johnson,
Get my
but
all
that's
pro
our.
quarterback on the show. I could die happy.
Oh, that would be great. All right. That concludes Connor another edition of Connor's Takes the night before the Super Bowl. We'll be here again next week. Doing another Connor's Takes edition. Don't forget to watch the Undercovers podcast every Monday at 7 o'clock on Twitter and YouTube. Until then, go Bills.
Go Bills.